Mountain News First at 4. Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, last July's flood caused extensive damage at Appalshop in Whitesburg. They've been searching for a new home since that catastrophic event. Now they are leasing a new location for the next year in Jenkins. While they're still in Letcher County, they are excited to expand their community reach. Daryl Royce with Appalshop says it will feel good to have an in-person office again.
I think what we're looking forward to is this broader approach to how we work with the community, because we'll be in 2 locations in Letcher County, so we're sort of spreading out our work. We'll be able to reach more people, and also just the connection back with all of our staff, because most of our staff have been working from home since last July when the flood occurred.
Royce knows this is just one step in the long process ahead of repairs after the flood. When it comes to keeping your kids up to date on routine vaccines, a recent report from the CDC says the rates of those vaccinations dropped significantly in 2020. The report says vaccines against preventable diseases like measles, HPV, and diphtheria are important in order to maintain herd immunity. Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky pediatrician Jordan Burke says they have seen this problem continue here in the Commonwealth.
You know, thankfully for most, I haven't had kids come in here that have had these preventable diseases, affect them in the interim, but it certainly could.
The CDC report suggests a number of possible factors influenced low vaccination rates in 2020. It says stay-at-home orders and fear of contracting COVID-19 in a doctor's office were likely reasons families stayed away. WYMT's Olivia Calfee will have more on this tonight at 6.
And a little bit of a different view this afternoon. We're out front of the WYMT studios here at 199 Black Gold Boulevard, right here in Hazard, as our Save Our Summer blood drive continues out here. They've been going for about an hour, and there's about 2.5 hours left. The blood mobile out here from the Kentucky Blood Center, so come on out and donate. You've got about a little less than 2.5 hours now to continue to donate, and the weather should hold up as we head through the next little while. Let's take a bit of a better view of Hazard here from the rooftop here at WYMT. You see the sun is out, but so is the haze. We sit at 77. This Canadian wildfire smoke rather thick outside. You can really tell from our Pikeville Medical Center camera, mid-70s outside there right now as we continue to see plenty of that smoke out there. Not hurting temperatures at all. Monticello 85, low 80s elsewhere. And where the clouds are starting to work on into parts of the Big Sandy, they're in the middle and upper 70s at this hour. Dew points are still in the 40s and 50s, so it's not muggy by any means. In fact, with that wildfire smoke, the air quality's lower, but it feels rather comfortable. No big deal on pinpoint Doppler at this hour, but that vertically integrated smoke display, plenty of it all throughout the mountains, and that's going to stick around for a little while longer. Your forecast first as we head through the remainder of this Tuesday evening, falling into the 60s tonight, and as we head into tomorrow, we may not get out of the 60s. I'll have the very latest on that coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Construction is underway on a new Buc-ee's location in western Kentucky. Officials say that after completion of the location in Smith's Grove, that's between Glasgow and Bowling Green, it could bring 200 new jobs to that area. Jobs have not been posted on Buc-ee's website as of yet. However, they do list some of the opportunities they have for employees. Buc-ee says they pay employees in that area on average around $16 an hour for most positions. President Biden convened his cabinet today for the first time since January, and economic issues were at the top of the agenda. The White House highlighting the deal to avoid default, infrastructure investment, and job creation. But where does the economy really stand? Karen Kaifa has a look from Washington.
Well, good afternoon.
President Joe Biden sitting down with his cabinet Tuesday for the first time since January.
Today, I'm here with my cabinet, continuing to focus on getting the job done for the American people.
With an eye toward Biden's 2024 re-election bid, where the economy will be among the top domestic issues, the White House used the meeting to highlight implementation of the president's infrastructure plan signed into law last summer, an unemployment rate under 4%, and the bipartisan debt ceiling deal Biden signed over the weekend to ensure the U.S. would avoid default.
He believes that we can continue to get things done, and there's a long list of legislative agenda that he wants to see.
With the debt ceiling crisis resolved, more economists are leaning away from the idea that the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes to curb inflation could slow the economy to a halt. Goldman Sachs chief economist told CNBC Tuesday the labor market is cooling in a way where layoffs have been confined to certain sectors.
If you look at the overall layoff numbers, they're still pretty similar to where they were in sort of 2018, 2019, when we had a pretty strong labor market.
And consumers keep spending, though major retailers like Macy's and Costco have reported a shift toward less expensive food, essentials, and services as 2 years of high inflation takes a toll. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
A win for the LGBTQ+ community in Tennessee. A federal judge has struck down a law making it a crime to perform drag shows where they could be seen by minors. Dakari Turner reports.
Governor, as you know, this weekend, Governor Bill Lee Monday making no commitments on his level of support for the future of legislation when I asked him about the federal court's ruling during a visit to Memphis. The law made it a crime to perform drag shows where they may be seen by kids. The ruling by a U.S. District Judge, Thomas Parker, celebrated by Memphis-based Friends of Georges, makers of drag show entertainment, filing the lawsuit right as it took effect in April.
We are elated that he chose to be on the right side of history on this.
Late Monday afternoon, a spokesperson for the state attorney general's office confirming to Fox 13 News an appeal will be filed.
We'll do the same thing over again, and I think we'll be just as successful.
Lawmakers can still choose to rewrite the bill after the judge ruled it violates the Constitution's First Amendment. Asked directly about his support for that effort, Lee punted.
I will continue to work with the General Assembly.
The ruling being celebrated at Drew's Bar in Midtown, described by owner Tammy Montgomery as an LGBTQ community center which hosts drag shows. Montgomery noted the judge who made the ruling is a Trump nominee.
Shows exactly how ridiculous it was in the first place.
The Tennessee State Attorney General's office says it plans to appeal the ruling again, claiming the scope of the law has been misrepresented. In Minnesota, a suspect was caught on camera fighting with a state trooper on an interstate. It happened yesterday morning during rush hour. Authorities say the trooper stopped to help the driver, but the video shows that the driver began fighting with the trooper. They both went to the ground and tussled for a moment before the suspect ran off. He nearly got hit. The suspect flagged down a car, jumped in through a window, and got away. Authorities are still trying to identify the suspect. No one, fortunately, was injured in the incident. Police in cities across France have fired tear gas to quell tensions during marches against pension reforms. New protests started today in Paris and many other towns, but the latest protests attracted far fewer people compared to the last demonstration on May 1st. A major Soviet-era dam in the Russian-controlled part of southern Ukraine was breached today. That unleashed floodwaters across the war zone in what both Russia and Ukraine said was an intentional attack by the other's forces. Drone footage shows water surging through the remains of the dam with some damaged structures. The dam is 90 feet tall and 2 miles long. It holds as much water as is stored in the Great Salt Lake in Utah. The destruction of the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine poses a threat to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Ukraine's State Atomic Power Agency says the situation at the facility is under control, though. The International Atomic Energy Agency is indicating it was closely monitoring the situation, but there was no immediate nuclear safety risk at the plant, which is also in southern Ukraine. Today marks the 79th anniversary of D-Day. Nearly 160,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, France on June 6, 1944, in the largest naval, air, and land assault in military history. On Omaha Beach this morning, relatives and friends of the heroes gathered to remember their loved ones. Some wore the uniforms of the times and left mementos on the beach, all determined to never forget the sacrifices made.
To the veterans of World War II, we salute you. You saved the world. We must merely defend it. So may God bless the American and Allied troops who fought and failed some 79 years ago.
More than 2,500 Americans were killed in the invasion that led to the liberation of France from the Nazis and the end of World War II in Europe. Coming up.